Hello everyone and welcome back to the Irish Man Show. Today we're doing a review of the Arsenal Premier League season. We're going to have a best player of the season, best young player of the season, and most improved player of the season. It hasn't been the greatest season for Arsenal this time, finishing 8th, their second worst in Premier League history, which was 12th in 1994 and 1995, the year I was born. But to be fair, now we've had 3 managers in 1 year, the most I've ever actually seen us in one season with managers since I supported Arsenal, and it was up and down, too many draws. It was how many draws? I think it was like nearly 13, 14 draws. Like way too many. I think it was an up and down season from having Emery, then to having Freddie Umberg for a few games, and then having, sorry here, I'm just trying to get my thing up on my phone. The table. Yep, so 14 wins, 14 draws, and 10. 14 wins, 14 draws, and 10 defeats. Like, that is so many. With 53 points, with a goal difference of 8. We scored 56, conceded 48. And it has been the greatest season, but I think next year now we need to kick on and move on now from this. Learn from our mistakes. I think now we have to back Arteta now. We can't keep swapping and changing the managers now. He needs to get given a chance, and this transfer window is going to be very tough. It's going to be see who we're trying to get rid of, because a lot of players at Arsenal are on very high wages, and I just don't see us trying to get rid of these players because they're on high wages. And why would they want to leave? They're living in London, great city to live in. So I'm going to start with Bernd Leno. I think he's one of the candidates for player of the season. Shame he got injured for the last nine games. I'm going to give him a 9 out of 10. I think he's been absolutely fantastic. Saved a lot of games for us, a lot of wonder saves, a lot of times where we could have been down. Him and Aubameyang were the two players I think that kept us up. If we didn't have Bernd Leno for the saves and the goalkeeping ability, and if we didn't have Aubameyang for his goals, we would have been in a relegation battle and wouldn't have been where we were now. So I think 9 out of 10 for Bernd Leno was great. Martinez and the other goalkeeper have a standing since back from being injured, learning being injured, and then Martinez coming in from the last few games. He hasn't played that many games, but the games he has, I think he deserves maybe a 7 out of 10. If he played more games, I think he would have gotten higher, but he hasn't played that many. So, but he's done very well. It's actually good now having 2 great goalkeepers from back in the day, having Amunia and having no real backup really. Now they're having 2 good goalkeepers now in the squad. Then next we go with Hector Bellerin. I think 5 out of 10 is have half a season because the injury came back. Hasn't really kicked on from his form when he first ever played for Arsenal, when he kicked onto the scene. I think now is his time now. 1 more year. I think he needs to kick on now from this, and if not, we may have to cut our losses. Socrates, I think 3 or 4 out of 10. Hasn't really been great this year. I think this is his last year in the club. I think he'll be gone in the summer. Don't think Arteta fancies him. He hasn't been playing in any of the games since quarantine, so I think he'll be on his way, and I think that's a fair rating for him. Rob Holding hasn't played that many games either. Maybe 5 out of 10. Yesterday was one of his worst games ever against Watford. I think the whole team just didn't really see that they cared. They were kind of more focused on the FA Cup final, but he didn't really do much for me this season. Maybe 5 out of 10. Mustafi. Thing with Mustafi is he had half a season where he was actually absolutely terrible when he was under Emery. Then Arteta gave him the confidence, brought him back into the squad, and a bit of belief there. But he still has them few moments where he goes back to old Mustafi making mistakes. I think 5 out of 10 for him. Kolasinac, no, way too many mistakes this year. Doesn't look comfortable, doesn't look confident anymore. He'd be another player I think we'd be moving on. Like, the thing is we can't move on like all these players at once. We're gonna have to do maybe in 2 or 3 transfer windows to try and get rid of them all. For me, 3 out of 10. Very one of his worst seasons ever with Arsenal. Callum Chambers, going to give him a standard 5 out of 10. Got very badly injured halfway through the season. He was doing pretty well until he got that injury. Kieran Tierney, another player that could be in the hunt for best player of the season or MVP like that as well. Unbelievable. We finally found our left back. He really really put that down as a position now. No one's going to take that position away from him. I'm going to give him an 8 out of 10. Absolutely superb. It's great to see him getting his first goal for the club as well. David Luiz, mixed bag. That Agent Louise at one stage, and back to being the defender that we've always thought he was going to be. 5 out of 10, I think. He hasn't been great, he hasn't been good. He's kind of been 50-50, which is that's why we've got so many draws and so many losses. Very inconsistent, and that's why a 5 out of 10 for me. I'm just going by the numbers here, so bear if I'm going back forward with players. Mesut Ozil, 1, 0. It's been generous, really. Hasn't really done much even when he comes on. How could you have a player at your club that can't play away games, which is absolutely ridiculous. For the goodness of the club, I think he needs to just move on, which he probably won't, but you've done your time on Arsenal. I'm grateful for what you've done for the club. Got us out of the cup drought when we won we won the FA Cup, but it's time for him to find out a new club, go somewhere else, and finish your career in style, finish your career with a bit of honour, a bit of respect for yourself, show people why you are such a great player. Lucas Torreira, it looks like he just hasn't settled in. It looks like he's, I think, another player that might be on his way out today during the transfer window. I go 5 out of 10 really. Has been great, has been worse. Under Emery, they were playing him as a number 10, and then Arteta, I don't think Arteta really fancies him anymore. Maitland-Niles, 6, 7 out of 10. 6, I think. 6 is, he wasn't bad. He had like I said, too many inconsistencies here. It was great one few games, and next game he come out with a few mistakes, and it was just a whole difference this whole year. But I think I really want to keep him. I hope Arteta does keep him. I hope he changes his attitude and we keep him on for another season. Keep him on, and yeah, I think a 6 is fair enough for me. Matthew Guendouzi, his attitude really did him in this play. It looks like that's the thing, we have so many players here, and I just don't think we can get rid of them all in one go, in like one transfer window. I think we can do it in maybe summer transfer window, get rid of 1 or 2, and then January transfer window, get rid of a few, and then summer transfer window, maybe we can get a bit better of a clear out. For me, 4 out of 10, wasn't really fantastic, wasn't really great. Granit Xhaka, probably, you actually give him most improved because everyone wanted him out of the club. Even that big whole debacle about what happened with the shirt and doing this with the fans, and I just think him and Emery just didn't click together. I don't think the whole team clicked with Emery, but he really had a good redemption story. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10. Really well. If he just was that good from all the way to the season, he probably would be one of our best players this year, but because he had that bit of a spell, I can't really give him any higher for that. Willock, 5 out of 10, average season. Had a glimpse of what he'd become, and then sometimes he doesn't improve. He just needs to get rid of that ball a bit more quicker. He had a chance to put in Aubameyang there the other day, and just, I don't know, he held up the ball a bit too long. Danny Ceballos, it looks like he might be extending his loan deal, so I won't mind taking him now. Really impressed me now. I used to call him Mr. Sideways, the stat man, but he really has kicked on since Arteta has come to the club, and I think it's solid 7 out of 10. He had really good games, and then he had a few bad games to start, like through the whole season. He had a good start, then in the middle of the season he was in and out of the team, got injured. Arteta brought him, he still wasn't comfortable. I think he was trying to get back up to full speed, but then the last few games of the season he really put on a great show. Alexander Lacazette, I think I'll go with a 7. Kicked on now. Start of the season was alright, then that whole middle season he just wasn't great, wasn't getting the goals that we needed him to get, the goals in important games, missing a lot of chances. But then since he didn't have a great few games during we came back to football, but then it has kicked on really well, so 7 out of 10 for me. Still got a few goals. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, you have to give him that man a 10 out of 10. I think he has to be a player of the season. 22 goals again in consecutive season, 2 consecutive seasons now with 20 goals or more in the Premier League, was absolutely stunning. If it wasn't for him, we would be in a relegation battle. Please, for the love of God, pray that we keep him on to another contract, because we really do need him. We really do. He's like the player we really need at the moment, and it's just so hard. It's so hard if he goes. It would be so hard to try and replace his goals. Gabriel Martinelli, I think 6 out of 10, absolutely glimpse of fantasticness. That goal against Chelsea, I know Kante slipped, but still have the pressure and the coolness to go off and finish that goal. Badly got injured. I would have loved to seen him during the last few games here, but I think a 6 out of 10 is really fair for him. Nelson, 5 out of 10. Had, like I said, there's a lot of these players here that have the glimpse of what they can do and achieve and become good players, but we just don't see it enough. And I think maybe one more year for him again. He's on his last legs. One more year, and then we'll see after that. Nicolas Pepe, for his first year in the Premier League through this mad season, I think 6 out of 10 is fair for him. Next season, no, he really does need to kick on. Just remember, Arteta didn't bring him in. It was the board and Emery. So, well, Emery apparently didn't really want him either, but like I said, Arteta might give him one more year. Arteta might go, look, you're not part of my plans. I want to get someone in who, I don't know, like, that's the thing. Like, a lot of these players you might think, yeah, he might stay, but I know he might go because it wasn't Arteta who brought them in. Saka, I think the best young player of the season. Absolutely fantastic for an 18-year-old to have the passion, the belief, and the way he the way he's very mature. He can play anywhere. He doesn't suck about playing left back, doesn't suck about playing midfield, anywhere. You can put him anywhere, he will just play his game and just do absolutely fantastic. I give him an 8 out of 10, a breakout season, and my young player of the season. Eddie Nketiah, I think a 5 because he only played half a season, and he got goals where we really needed goals, like the goal against Southampton as well. He, like I said, but you can't play him on the wing. He's not this striker where you can play him any one of the wings or in the middle or behind. He's an out and out right down the middle striker. You need him in there, and there's no other place putting him. We had 3 managers, so Emery, you can't, like, no point rating Emery, no point rating Ljungberg or Mikel Arteta. Arteta took on a bad team, very low on confidence, not knowing our identity, not knowing what we were going to do. But next year is going to be a very important year, but we need to stick with him. We need to back Arteta. The transfer window is going to be really exciting this year, but we need to spend money, but we're not going to have it. We're going to need to sell all this dead weight. That's what I'm most excited about now, to see who he gets rid of, to see who's going to be at the club anymore. Because there's a lot of people here that I don't think will be here in the next year and a half from now. Now, all we have to do now is look forward for the FA Cup. If we win the FA Cup, that'll put a real good stamp on a lot of the players that deserve to have the chance to go for a trophy and to get revenge for Baku, which we really need. And it's a 50-50 game, I think. It's the FA Cup final. Anything can happen. I think now, because the season's going to be over, I'm going to do more about transfers, see who we want to get in, see who we can get in, realistic targets, none of this Koulibaly or any of them, like real, look for these kind of hidden gems. And I'm not going to do like just every single bit of Arsenal news, because you can just pick up the TV guide and go through the channel and see what it is. So yeah, that's going to be me. I'm going to try and get some video of me playing the PlayStation. Love playing like FIFA, NBA. I just have The Last of Us Part 2, but I'm just equipment wise I'm waiting on that as well, but bear with me for the next few weeks. I want to thank you all for watching. Like, share, subscribe. And who do you think deserves player of the year, young player of the year, most improved? I think most improved could be Xhaka. Best player of the season is Aubameyang, and young player of the year is Saka. If anyone else had differently, please leave a comment and tell me who you think deserves it. And I'll see you all in the next video. Goodbye.